see how it's going to unfold as we get into the first game of our Phase 2 here in Utrecht. We're seeing the Iron Bundle and the Miraidon immediately for Valentijn, but that's going to be the Incineroar and the Urshifu for Michael.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned a second ago how Icy Wind and Ice Beam won't actually have a way to super effectively hit like either of these Pokemon here. There's no Hydro Pump either. So otherwise, if you had maybe run the Freeze Dry option, you would have at least a way to super effectively hit the Urshifu. This is not the case here.
Yeah, not going to be. And you've got Fake Out pressure while also having Urshifu next to it. So you can't just safely double protect here to be able to stall out that Fake Out. You have to just go on the offensive or maybe defensively switch here.
Yeah, that might be one option here. We saw that Terra Ghost was an option to basically withstand that Fake Out and maybe with a Volt Switch and Ice Beam take the knockout on the Urshifu before it takes any like damage on the opposing team. So a lot to consider here. 9 seconds left. There seems to be a Volt Switch Ice Beam play, but Fake Out stops that plan completely. Yeah,
you want to stop the Miraidon over the Iron Bundle here. And yeah, there's the Ice Beam, and that's not the damage we usually see from Iron Bundle into Urshifu because it is so commonly Freeze Dry. But Ice Beam and the move of choice instead. There is that close combat doing huge damage to that opposing Miraidon. Obviously couldn't go for the Protect to try and stall out that Fake Out close combat play, so that was pretty much guaranteed.
Yep. Now, I mean, Miraidon in the very first turn going down to 30 HP in the red. Amazing start for Michel. He has Aqua Jet, but I don't think that is enough at this point to take out the Miraidon because it's such a low base power move despite the priority. So maybe you just have a free Icy Wind here. Of course, you can go for the Encore into the Incineroar, but I don't think a player like Michael will run into an Encore play. So he might potentially switch out or see through the missing Encore and just attack.
I don't know. No, maybe the Encore is so obvious that you're going to play around it. I know that Michael likes to try and play around those kind of plays as well. Miraidon does keep itself safe from any of the attacks that could be coming out here. Going to switch into the Calyrex instead. That will be able to soak up a lot of attacks here, especially if it was Encore into that Incineroar. That would just keep that Calyrex completely safe from any of the attacks the Incineroar wants to go for. But yeah, not falling victim to a potential Encore. The Incineroar is instead going to be switching out here. Miraidon joining the field for Michael. In the face of the Iron Bundle, maybe not the most defensive of switch-ins here, but that's just the Aqua Jet that would have put the Miraidon into Life Orb KO range. Wouldn't have KO'd it itself. Oh, the Ice Beam was the move of choice, but it wasn't into that switching in Miraidon. It was into the Urshifu and taking it down into the red.
Yeah, I mean, after the close combat, having your special defense lowered allowed Ice Beam to do a little bit more damage, but it just wasn't enough to take the knockout. Very good observation, actually, that yes, you could have lived the Aqua Jet, but then after Life Orb, even if you use Volt Switch, but you got knocked out by Life Orb, you won't have the option to actually switch that turn. So you're basically sacrificing your potential Miraidon there. Good switch in here on the Miraidon, but now, I mean, we talked about ice moves. Ice Beam is great into any of these options here.
Yeah, and you've got double ice options, so you can go for Glacial Lance very comfortably. You can go for Icy Wind to get the KO on the opposing Urshifu, but with the close combat drop, surely it would be in range of that. And then some good damage into the Miraidon. If you want extra damage in Miraidon, you can consider the Ice Beam as well, but the Urshifu doesn't want to be just KO'd to that free Icy Wind here. Going to be switching out. Of course, Incineroar is a very good switch in the face of two Ice-type Pokemon that only have Ice-type attacks, but Miraidon may not be so fortunate here, and that is why we're seeing almost certainly that defensive terrestrialization.
Yeah, keep in mind though, it is Choice Scarf and will actually like naturally be faster than the Iron Bundle, but of course with the Quark Drive, it really depends on how both these trainers opted to train their Pokemon. But typically, if you're Choice Scarf and Miraidon, you don't need all the speed, so you can then run a little bit slower, be slower than the opposing Iron Bundle, but get a free Volt Switch out of the situation there.
Well, it was definitely going to be slower there after the Icy Wind did move first, but there is that Volt Switch, and that's easily bringing the Iron Bundle down to its Focus Sash. So you did get just a little bit of chip on the way out with that Icy Wind, and then the Volt Switch going to be pivoting here. And if this is a Glacial Lance, then you would KO the Urshifu that switches in, or whatever is waiting in the back doesn't really want to take too much either, unless it is going to be that Calyrex, which we are going to be seeing here. So this is the Glacial Lance. That's going to be shrugged off completely. If it's the Leech Seed, that's going to start getting some recovery. That is probably preferable on this turn, but when you were facing down a Miraidon, you're going to click that Glacial Lance button.
Yep, Glacial Lance dealing almost no damage on either of these two Pokemon, Incineroar and Calyrex, both resisting ice types, and despite being one of the most powerful legendary Pokemon in Calyrex Ice Rider, when you're just intimidated and hitting like against not super effective targets, then your Glacial Lance won't deal too much damage. There was one option that he could have gone for potentially Trick Room here, but then Michael played right into that and repositioned that even a Trick Room would be out-held.
Yeah, an Iron Bundle in Trick Room is surely not what you want, right? It's basically the fastest Pokemon we have when it's got its Quark Drive activated. So yeah, the Glacial Lance does make perfect sense there, and it's almost certainly got to be a Leech Seed now, right?
Leech Seed would be an option, especially getting that off early on, and it kind of forces Michael to either eventually switch out the Calyrex or just have constant healing. Keep in mind that Ice Beam also has a very low freeze chance, but that's not what's happening here. There's a Leech Seed into the Calyrex.
Yes, it's going to be no fake outs here from the Incineroar either. So there was that Ice Beam for a little bit of chip into the Incineroar. The Leech Seed connects with the Calyrex, but of course, even though it's going to be quad resisted here, 1 HP is going to be enough to be taken down by that Glacial Lance from Michael's side as well. Going to get that Grim Neigh activated, and now here comes the Incineroar. There's a knockoff. That's a lot of damage into that Calyrex on Valentine's side.
I mean, really well positioned yourself. You got you got your first Grim Neigh boost here. Sorry.
Chilling Neigh.
Chilling Neigh boost, yep. And on top of that, you got rid of the leftovers on the opposing Calyrex. So you're kind of winning the Calyrex mirror at the moment. Miraidon also very low from the very early on close combat. So it's really difficult for Valentine to position his Pokemon where, I mean, Miraidon down to 30 HP, that is 2 attacks going down based on the recoil.
Yeah, and you basically at least got a guaranteed Electro Drift or Volt Switch into the Incineroar slot because it is Assault Vest, it can't protect. You could consider it into the opposing Calyrex. Electro Drift, maybe with a Terra Boost, should be able to pick up the KO. Without the Terra Boost, it's going to be pretty close depending on how the Calyrex is trained, but at the same time, that's the Pokemon that can protect. So do you just go for the Incineroar slot because that's the guaranteed hit?
Yeah, we saw early in the game that the Miraidon actually manually swapped out instead of using a Volt Switch. Back then, the full team of Michael was not revealed yet, so Landorus could have waited in the back, switch in, and negate any Volt Switch plays. We see Terra activating, no swaps on Michael's end here. So the question is going to become, is Calyrex protecting? And will Electro Drift take a knockout? I think either way, Electro Drift is super... I mean, there's no protector on Michael's end.
Which one is it? Oh, he took the guaranteed hit into that Incineroar, so that should be able to pick up the knockout even with that Assault Vest. Critical hit, not necessary there. That would have been able to pick up the knockout. But if that would have been a hit into the Calyrex, that would have also been a KO, and that's going to allow it the potential to get another Chilling Neigh boost here with that Glacial Lance. Once again, the Miraidon is so low, and now the Calyrex on Valentine's Field is so low as well. It's gone down into the reds.
Yeah, and it takes another knockout, another Chilling Neigh boost here. And it looks like, at least in this game, Calyrex of Michael is taking the lead, taking 2 knockouts. This Trick Room, I mean, I don't think we have seen the last Pokemon on Valentine's End. So let's see if in Trick Room, maybe it can overcome these 3, I mean, 2 of them are rather fast. And then at least the opposing Calyrex is already lead seeded. So maybe there's a way to come back into this game. It all depends on this last Pokemon. It is Iron Hands, which has naturally a good matchup into the Urshifu, into that Choice Scarf Miraidon, and with Electric Terrain coming back up, maybe some low kick damage into that opposing Calyrex as well.
Yeah, switching in the Miraidon here as the Iron Hand switches in. That's going to activate its Quark Drive, so now it's going to be doing even more damage. The Miraidon can't protect, it's the Choice Scarf variant, but it shouldn't be in range of a Glacial Lance and just a Fake Out here, so you would need to double up if you wanted to pick up the KO. The Calyrex on my side of the field is probably still out of range of Low Kick, but I reckon it'll be in range of Low Kick and Leech Seed.
I think the play he goes for here is that you can only really take out the Calyrex if you go for... I mean, yeah, Volt Switch would maybe take it out as well. That's what I'm thinking. But if you went something like Electro Drift, then at least your Iron Hands will have a great time. There's a defensive Protect here to maybe get some extra damage out with the Iron Hands first. Protect Fake Out.
Oh, classic play. Protect Fake Out, usually not so effective here. But if that's a Volt Switch into the Calyrex, which it was, then that is actually quite an impactful play here. It's usually not so effective to just essentially waste a turn, but that didn't waste a turn. That didn't allow the Miraidon to Volt Switch out. It also allowed extra Leech Seed recovery, so the Calyrex might be in range of Low Kick now.
Yeah, might be in range of Low Kick, and then Glacial Lance dealing a lot of damage into the Miraidon, which might allow Iron Hands to actually win this game in the back. So, well, Miraidon now locked into Volt Switch. Either has to manually swap out or take a Glacial Lance. You could also double the Miraidon actually. If you take that out and the Calyrex is still Leech seeded, then maybe like the lead seed will make the difference here, and Valentine's Calyrex might be the endgame winner.
Yeah, Iron Hand should be able to survive a +2 Glacial Lance. It wouldn't like to, but it will be able to because it is one of the bulkiest Pokemon we have. And you do have a guaranteed hit into that Miraidon, so that is something that could be taken. And if that was going to be the case, that Calyrex on Mike's side did protect. So low kick coming out. Miraidon's a very heavy Pokemon, not quite enough to pick up the knockout, but here's the Glacial Lance to finish the job.
Yeah, Michael not happy about that. Of course, it was coming down to a call, protecting his own Calyrex here, but Valentine playing right into that low kick and Glacial Lance, taking out the Miraidon and bringing it back to a 2 versus 2. I think Valentine got himself into a prime position to take this very first game.
Yeah, the Iron Hands waiting in the back to try and sweep in Trick Room was very, very crucial now. The Urshifu took so much damage from those Ice Beams. It's down in the red. It is in range of Glacial Lance here. So this is just going to be Glacial Lance and low kick, and that should be the game for Valentine.
Yeah, I don't really see any way for Michael to come back into this. But, I mean, we're playing best of 3 for a reason. He has he kind of has a better understanding of how Valentine is approaching this matchup, and also how maybe he's tending towards certain plays, and he can use that information in game 2 and potentially game 3 to turn this around.
Yeah, you've got a double protect at least. That might be the way back in. You've got to stall out the Trick Room somehow, right? And there's just a double protect coming out. So how many turns of Trick Room's left? Is it just 1 or is it 2? Do you need a triple double?
A triple double.
I think you need the triple double, right?
Typically a turn that maybe you hear in basketball, but yeah, it might need a triple double here to get through this tail room.
The Trick Room, yeah.
Trick Room, yeah. Let's see if the Trick Room is over. It doesn't seem to be that way.
No, it's one more turn, right? Because there was the Fake Out Protect, there was the KO of the Miraidon, there was this turn, so I think it does need to be that triple double.
Yep, and I mean, look at Calyrex. It was down so low, but thanks to that lead seed, it's coming all the way back. Michael says the game is not over until the game is over, right?
Yeah, got to play for the outs. If as unlikely as getting both a triple protect and a double protect is, if that's still the win condition, you've got to go for it. And if you identify that, then that's the way to be able to do it.
But keep in mind that even if you get that...
Oh, there's a double.
Yeah, if you get that, then Leech Seed basically through this turn and next turn will also just take out the Calyrex. But Valentine not playing into that, not risking anything, taking the knockout here, and now Michael is down to his last Pokemon in the Urshifu. Keep in mind that sometimes in these first games, when maybe you're far behind and the game is basically over, you can use that extra time to start thinking about the next set.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's surely what Michael's going to be doing here. And yeah, not going to be able to take this first game. That is going to be Valentine expertly position that Iron Hands in the Trick Room to be able to take that game.
Yeah, it is so hard early on to call like who's in the lead and how the game is going, especially with such bulky Pokemon that can just, I mean, we saw Iron Hands and Calyrex Ice Rider just in the end game, basically turning the whole game around. Michael seemed to be in the lead, got some like take out close combat off, like forced the switch out on the Miraidon, right? It was kind of in the driving seat for the longest time. And I think where the game really turned around was when Michael decided to protect Calyrex and let the Miraidon go down to a low kick combination.
Yeah, that could have been potential Glacial Lance that wouldn't have, or surely wouldn't have KO'd the Iron Hands, but it might put in Aqua Jet range. And then at that point, maybe you're able to take the game after that. So yeah, very, very nicely called from Valentine. Fake Out Protect, not usually the play that is most optimal, but actually worked out very effectively there.
Yeah, especially with the Leech Seed, you have to keep in mind that you basically prevented any damage from coming into your Calyrex while just getting one extra round off the Leech Seed healing there as well. Then maybe you can withstand like a +2 Glacial Lance yourself. So yeah, Fake Out Protect, not very common, but might just have been the right call in that turn.
Yeah, and able to take that first game against our undefeated Michael KELSCH here. So if Valentine's able to just do that one more time, then we'll get to that 8-1 record and just be one win away from that top cut.
Yep, so my question is, we saw Iron Hands and Miraidon, and of course one Pokemon that is great into both of them is Landorus with the right form of speed control. So maybe if you can position that properly, it can make the difference in this game. But Valentine was well aware of that, and that's why we saw the Iron Bundle in Game 1.
Yeah, we got Iron Bundle and Ice Rider, right? So that's not what Landorus wants to face. I guess it has its defensive terrestrialization that could help, so that could very reasonably be an adjustment here. But it's going to be both restricted coming out on Michael's side of the field. But there's that classic Iron Bundle and Miraidon coming out for Valentine.
Yeah, let's see how players opt to go for this first turn. Typically, with something like a Choice Scarf Miraidon, you might want to go for a Volt Switch and maybe go for Trick Room yourself in this turn, or just go full offensive and take your first knockout with going for Volt Switch and Glacial Lance into either of these two Pokemon. But keep in mind that Miraidon with the Terra Electric Electro Drift also has a lot of damage output here.
Yeah, and even with just a tiny bit of chip from Icy Wind, could put that Calyrex into range of such a powerful attack. And the Iron Bundle should still be outspeeding even the Choice Scarf Miraidon because it is just that 1 point naturally faster than it. So even if the Miraidon was run as fast as possible, Iron Bundle should be able to attack first.
Yep, there's the option of the Icy Wind. Of course, keep in mind that a Choice Scarf Miraidon, if still faster, might have the option to go for Snarl if that is on the moveset here as well. So then maybe the lower the special attack of both Miraidon and Iron Bundle. So this is why then maybe an Icy Wind and Electro Drift might just be the right combination. We see Miraidon swapping out. The question is going to become, is that Calyrex actually protecting here?
Yeah, I just kind of got to. If that's going to be a Terra Electric Electro Drift, that's going to be Incineroar switching in to get fake out pressure in the future. But if this isn't a Protect coming out from the Calyrex, this is a Terrestrialization coming out here from that Miraidon, turning on all of the offense with the Terra Electric. And that should be able to KO even as bulkier Pokemon as the Calyrex Ice Rider.
But sometimes when you see Incineroar switching in, you kind of think they're going to reposition. There's no Protect though. Icy Wind connects, takes the first damage, and now we see a Life Orb, Terra Electric, Electro Drift into the Calyrex, which might be enough.
It's going to be enough. This is one of the strongest attacks that we have in the game. And like very bulky Pokemon from Ice Rider, but no, easy KO there coming out for Valentine. And that is just such a huge swing of momentum.
Yeah, so early on taking a big knockout. I think Michael was well aware that there was an option, but I think he played a little bit around it and said, hey, you could also target my own Miraidon with an Icy Wind and make a Draco Meteor combination. So there was the knockout potential on both sides here. And I don't think Michael is happy about this knockout. And it's really difficult to come back into this game when you're facing Miraidon Iron Bundle. And we saw in the back Iron Hands and Calyrex, very bulky Pokemon. And with what you have left at the moment, it's going to be difficult to basically come back into this game. But as we said in game one, it's not over until it's over, and Michael's going to play to his outs here, and maybe a fake out close combat is taking the knockout on the Iron Bundle. You have your Focus Sash, but maybe then the Incineroar is going down to another Electro Drift.
I mean, you could even consider just Protect on the Iron Bundle anyway, because even if close combat goes into that slot, the fake out chip that is happening wouldn't be able to break that Focus Sash, and you would still survive at the end of the turn. But it wasn't fake out into that Miraidon. That's just allowed a completely free Volt Switch here to bring the Urshifu down to its Focus Sash. So now, even if the Iron Bundle wants to just go on the offensive with Icy Winds, that can be able to pick up the knockout there. And the Miraidon won't take a close combat potentially launched off into that slot. It's going to be one of the bulkier Pokemon that's waiting in the back for Valentine that would be easily be able to soak up that damage.
Yeah, any incoming move, whether that's Surging Strikes or even if that's a close combat, like Iron Hands swapping in here, would easily sponge up the damage. Well recognized for sure. And we'll see how in the next turn. You mentioned Icy Wind, of course, slow chance to miss there as well. You could also, but it's going down either way.
Yeah, close combat does KO the Iron Bundle, so that could have been a Protect there from the Iron Bundle. Keep its Focus Sash intact from the fake out and then go down to its Focus Sash, but instead here, sacrifice and giving a switch into something waiting in the back here, and it looks like it's going to be the Calyrex joining the field.
Yeah, the only problem with the Protect play is probably that the close combat is still bringing you down to its Focus Sash, and then next turn the Aqua Jet could pick up the KO as well, so it didn't really work out against that particular play. But yeah, now, I mean, Urshifu is kind of forced to Protect here, right? To not go down to a potential fake out combination. But then on the other hand, we see Trick Room, and you really don't want to face Iron Hands and Calyrex in Trick Room right now.
No, not at all. I don't think there's really a way to stop it. If fake out goes into the Incineroar, then you're not taking any super effective damage on the Calyrex at all. And very nicely called there, because that is the Urshifu protecting itself from the fake out KO. But no, fake out into that Incineroar. So the Calyrex is completely freed up to go for whatever it wants, and it seems like it is to reverse the dimensions once again.
I think this is the most shaking hats I've ever seen from Michael here.
Might actually be, yeah.
Definitely not happy about the outcome of this game here. Just didn't get back into the game, just didn't have any footing into the game, and it just seems so difficult. And Valentine just right call after right call, playing down into this amazing 9th Swiss round here. Looks like he's taking out one of the giants of the game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way out for Michael now, but I can't see it. Glacial Lance KOs the Urshifu, giving it down to its Focus Sash. Like, Low Kick's going to do a huge amount of damage to the Incineroar. Even if it defensively terrestrializes, it's still going to take a huge amount because the Quark Drive is active on the Iron Hands. So, yeah, I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, and then in the back, you have your own Miraidon, but because of the Choice Scarf, it won't be able to protect any turns in Trick Room, and it's just going to be a matter of time until both these offensive Pokemon in Calyrex, Ice Rider, and the Iron Hands taking out these Pokemon. We see defensive Terra here, but will still... Oh, a double protect coming in here.
Again. That's 3 double to protects that Michael's being able to achieve here. That is the locate into the Incineroar. Look at that damage still. Flare Blitz into the Calyrex at least goes first, but that's going to be a load of recoil now. That's still got to be in Glacial Lance range, even while it's not very effective hit. I think that's probably going to be all she wrote there now, because Glacial Lance is firing off, is able to KO that opposing Incineroar. The Choice Scarf Miraidon can't protect it. This will just be another Glacial Lance, and that will be Michael KELSCH no longer undefeated.
Yep. I mean, there was a chance of maybe a critical hit or maybe a burn, but at this point, like, you now used your defensive Terra, and Miraidon won't be able to Terrasilize into Electric to maybe take a Glacial Lance here. So yeah, it all comes down to this one final Glacial Lance, and Valentine finds himself at 8-1 after Phase 1 and the first Swiss round of Phase 2.
Yeah, as you mentioned, able to take down our previous Utrecht champion.
Congratulations to Valentijn VISSER here, taking down Michael, winning the 9th Swiss round 8-1.